Let me tell you something. I sat down the other day and I did something that a lot of people are doing right now. I asked an AI a question. I typed into Claude, what are the 3 most common pieces of advice rich people give to folks trying to build financial independence? And you know what? The answers weren't bad. They actually weren't bad at all. But they were missing something. Something so critical, so fundamental, that without it, all that advice is just noise. It's like handing somebody a beautifully drawn map with no car and no gas. The destination is right, but you're not going anywhere. And that gap, that missing piece right in the middle, could cost you $250,000 over your lifetime. On $1 million portfolio, we're talking $250,000 just gone, evaporated. Not because you were lazy, not because you didn't try, but because nobody told you the whole truth. So today I'm going to tell you the whole truth. Here's what Claude said. Number 1, pay yourself first. Automate your savings and investments before you spend anything else. Rich people consistently build assets before they upgrade their lifestyle, saving and investing 20 to 50% of their income rather than whatever's left over at the end of the month. Number 2, make your money work for you. Invest early, invest consistently. Whether it's index funds, real estate, or business ownership, earned income has a ceiling, but invested capital compounds. Time in the market beats timing the market. Number 3, avoid lifestyle inflation. As your income grows, keep your expenses flat or grow them slowly. Warren Buffett, still living in the same house he bought in 1958, is the poster child for this. The gap between what you earn and what you spend is what builds wealth. And then Claude added something that I actually loved. It said, the average person spends first and invests the rest. Wealthy people invert that habit. That's not wrong. It's actually really insightful. But here's the problem. It's like being handed a gym membership and being told that's your fitness plan. The destination is right. The system to make it actually happen is completely missing. So let me show you what's missing. Let me give you the engine. The study that changed everything I thought I knew. There was a massive longitudinal study, the Dundee study, and it followed over 1,000 kids from the moment they were born, all the way through their adult lives. Measured IQ, measured family wealth, measured social class, measured everything you might think matters. And here's what I want you to do right now. Stop. Guess. Before I tell you the answer, I want you to think about it. What do you think was the single greatest predictor of financial success in that study? Was it being born to wealthy parents? Was it a sky-high IQ? Was it connections, class, or education? Put it in the comments. I mean it, because the answer is going to shock you. The number 1 predictor of financial success across all income levels, across all family backgrounds, across all social classes was self-control. Self-control. And here's the part that still blows my mind every single time I say it out loud. They could predict it at age 3. 3 years old, not in college, not in your first job. At 3 years old, if you had self-control as a toddler, you were dramatically more likely to be financially successful as an adult. You were more likely to save money. You were less likely to have credit problems. You were more likely to build actual retirement accounts. Now, before you panic, because I know some of you are sitting there thinking, well, I was a wild 3-year-old and now I'm toast. Listen to me. The study also showed self-control can be learned. You can build it later. You are not stuck. But here's the beautiful thing, and this is where I differ from what the AI told you. The best financial systems are built specifically so that you don't need self-control every single day. The best systems take self-control out of the equation entirely, and I'm going to show you exactly how. Dave Ramsey studied 10,000 millionaires. Here's what he found. I love this study. Dave Ramsey and his team studied over 10,000 actual millionaires in America. Not billionaires, not hedge fund managers. Everyday millionaires. And you want to know which profession made up the 3rd largest group of millionaires in the entire United States? Teachers, not tech executives, not Wall Street bankers, not venture capitalists sipping espresso in San Francisco. Teachers, people who in most states are not getting rich on salary. People who are not driving Ferraris to school. People who pack their lunch, drive modest cars, and show up every single day to educate other people's children. And the reason they became millionaires had nothing to do with their income. It had everything to do with behavior and system. Most of those teachers had retirement accounts automatically set up through their school districts. The money came out of their paycheck before they ever saw it. They said it, they forgot it. And 30 years later, they're millionaires. That is the engine. That's what AI didn't tell you. The right account changes everything, and I mean everything. Here's where most people make a catastrophic mistake, and they don't even know they're making it. Claude said, save consistently, automate it, invest in the right things. Great advice. Totally agree. But it never mentioned the single most important factor, which account that money lives in. And I need you to understand this, because this is where $250,000 can disappear without you ever doing a single thing wrong. There are essentially two tax systems in America. Most people earn money, pay taxes on it, and then sock away whatever's left in a regular savings account or maybe a basic brokerage account. And they think they're doing the right thing. They're saving, they're investing. What more could they do? A lot more. Because the tax code, and I want you to hear me say this clearly, the tax code was specifically, intentionally, deliberately written to reward people who use the right accounts. The IRS literally built you a wealth machine. Most people just aren't using it. Let me walk you through this with real numbers because I want you to feel this, not just understand it intellectually, but actually feel it in your gut. Let's say you're putting away $5,000 a year for 30 years. You started at age 35, you're going to retire at 65. You're investing in something like the S&P 500, which has historically returned around 10% a year. And let's say you're making $75,000 a year as a single person. Scenario one, you put that money in a regular taxable brokerage account. Now, if you're buying and holding something like VOO or SPY, those are S&P 500 index funds, you're actually not getting hit too badly as you go. The ETF structure minimizes the annual tax drag, but when you sell, when you walk out the door into retirement and you need that money, you're paying long-term capital gains taxes. That's somewhere between 15 and 20%. On a $900,000 portfolio, you're writing a check for $135,000 to $180,000 on your way out the door. That's real money. That's your money gone. Scenario two, you put that same $5,000 a year into a traditional IRA or 401. Here's what happens. You get a tax deduction going in right now. Today, if you're making $75,000, you're in the 22% tax bracket. That means every single year, you're getting roughly $1,100 back in your pocket because of that deduction. Real money. Money you can reinvest. The account grows without any annual tax drag. And when you pull it out in retirement, you pay ordinary income tax. But here's the thing. The average retiree's effective tax rate is less than 6%. Less than 6%, not 22%, not 12%, less than 6%. You pay 22% to earn it. You pay 6% to spend it in retirement. That math works massively in your favor. Scenario three, you use a Roth IRA. No deduction going in, but everything grows completely tax-free. Every dollar of growth, every dollar of dividend, every dollar of compound return, tax-free. And when you pull it out in retirement, not a penny in taxes. Zero. The government gets nothing. That $900,000, all of it is yours. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I ran the actual numbers. $5,000 a year, 30 years, 10% return. The traditional IRA came out to around $925,000. The Roth came out to around $904,000. And I know I can already hear half of you yelling at me through the screen. Wait, Toby, wait. I heard Roth is always better, always. My accountant told me. My brother-in-law told me. The guy at the gym told me. Here's the truth. If you reinvest the tax savings from the traditional IRA deduction every single year, the traditional actually wins by about $20,000. It comes out ahead. But, and this is a massive but, it only wins if you reinvest those tax savings. If you spend that refund check, if you celebrate with a vacation or a new TV, the Roth wins. And this is where self-control comes back to bite you or reward you. This is where the Dunning study walks right into your financial plan. The general rule is this: if your current tax rate is below 20%, the Roth is almost always a better choice. If you're above 20%, the traditional almost always wins statistically. I know your accountant might be telling you something different, but facts don't care about opinions. The account nobody talks about, and it's the best one now. I've saved the best for last. And most people reading this right now have never used it properly. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you have one sitting there empty, gathering dust, the health savings account, the HSA. This account is something else entirely. It is the only account in the entire United States tax code, the only one that captures every single tax benefit at the same time. You get a deduction going in, just like the traditional IRA. It grows completely tax-free, just like the Roth, and it comes out completely tax-free as long as you use it for medical expenses. Triple tax advantage, deduction in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. Think about what medical expenses look like over a lifetime. Doctor visits, prescriptions, dental work, eye exams, surgery, physical therapy, mental health treatment, joint replacements, long-term care, Medicare premiums. These costs are enormous, and every single dollar that pays for them can come out of an HSA completely free from taxation. And here's a strategy that most people don't know. You don't have to use the HSA money the same year you incur the expense. You can pay out of pocket right now, keep your receipts in a folder, let that HSA money grow in the market for 20 or 30 years, and then reimburse yourself later completely tax-free. I paid a medical bill today. I let my HSA compound for 30 years. I pull out the reimbursement at age 65 tax-free. That's a powerful, powerful strategy. And worst case, if you hit 65 and you want to use that money for something other than medical expenses, it functions exactly like a traditional IRA. You just pay ordinary income tax on it. The worst case scenario for an HSA is that it's still a retirement account. The best case is that it's the most powerful tax vehicle in existence. Most people either don't have one or they're treating it like a spending account. That is an enormous, silent, slow-moving mistake, the rule that separates the rich from everyone else. Let me go back to what AI said. Point 3 was avoid lifestyle inflation. As income grows, keep expenses flat. And look, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. But here's what Claude didn't tell you. Most people are already behind when they get their first real paycheck. They're not starting from zero, they're starting from negative. Let me ask you something honestly. How much debt were you carrying when you were 18? How about when you graduated college at 22? And now today, with your income probably 3 or 4 times what it was back then, are you better off or worse? For most Americans, the brutal, uncomfortable answer is worse. Income went up. And so did the house payment, the car payment, the subscriptions, the streaming services, the gym membership you don't use, the meal kit delivery that's still coming every Tuesday, the vacations, the credit cards. The Dunedin study found that people with low self-control accumulated more credit problems regardless of how much they earn. Not poor people, not uneducated people. People without self-control, regardless of income. Enough money was never the variable. Behavior was the variable. Behavior has always been the variable. Lifestyle inflation isn't something that happens to you like a car accident. It's a default setting. You have to make an active, intentional, daily decision to opt out of it. You have to look at your paycheck and say out loud, if you have to, I am going to live below what I make. Here's the simplest rule in personal finance. It fits on a napkin. It doesn't require a spreadsheet. Wealthy people follow it. Struggling people don't. Spend less than you make. That's it. That is the entire rule. Now, in my book, Infinity Investing, I use something I call the 70-30 rule. You live on 70% of your take-home pay. Every single month, without exception, 30% gets deployed to retirement accounts, to investments, to building the kind of financial foundation that actually holds weight. And of that 30%, I suggest giving away 10%, because generosity isn't just a moral virtue. It's a mindset shift that changes your entire relationship with money. Think about those teachers again. The third largest group of millionaires in America. They weren't making $300,000 a year. A lot of them never broke $100,000. They had modest houses, used cars. They weren't on social media performing a lifestyle they couldn't afford. They were just quietly, consistently, automatically building wealth, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. Wealth is not about what you make, it is about what you keep and what you put to work. Here's what AI got right and where the system lives. Let me be fair to Claude, because it actually gave solid foundational advice. Pay yourself first, correct. Make your money work through index funds and compounding, correct and important. Avoid lifestyle inflation, correct and necessary. But knowing the destination and having a vehicle to get there are two completely different things. Let me bring it home with this, because I want to leave you with something actionable, something you can actually do today. The rule of 72 is one of the most beautiful tools in financial thinking, and almost nobody outside of finance knows it. Take 72, divide it by your annual rate of return. That tells you how many years it takes for your money to double. At a 10% return, which is historically what the S&P 500 has averaged, your money doubles every 7.2 years. So let's say you scrape together $20,000 and you get it into a good index fund and you don't touch it, you forget the password, you ignore the market, you live your life. At 7.2 years, $40,000. At 14.4 years, $80,000. At 21.6 years, $160,000. At 28.8 years, $320,000. At 36 years, $640,000. From $20,000 that you didn't add to, that you just left alone. That's compounding. That's the hockey stick. It moves slowly at first, and then it explodes. And the reason most people miss the explosion is because they quit too early. They get scared during a downturn. They move to cash. They try to time the market. And they step off the train 3 stops before the destination. Here's a truth that will make some people uncomfortable. Professional money managers, people with Bloomberg terminals, Harvard MBAs, research teams, decades of experience, beat a simple index fund less than 10% of the time over a 15-year period. Less than 10%. The index beats 90% of the professionals who dedicate their entire careers to doing exactly this. So if the pros can't beat the index consistently, what are you doing trying to pick individual stocks on your lunch break? Set it up, automate it, walk away, let time do the work. The 3 things that actually move the needle. So here's where I land. Here's what I would have told Claude to say. Number 1, use the right account. The IRS built you a wealth machine. Most people aren't using it. The same $5, 000 invested over 30 years could mean the difference between walking into retirement with $500,000 or over $1 million, not because you invested differently, but because of where that money lived. Tax drag is silent. It doesn't announce itself. It just quietly eats your wealth for 3 decades. HSAs, Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, 401ks. These are not bureaucratic headaches. They are literal wealth generators built into the tax code, specifically designed to make you rich if you use them correctly. Number 2, invest in the market. Set it to automatic and get out of your own way. The professionals can't beat the index. You probably can't either. And that's completely fine because the index is extraordinary on its own. Automate your contributions, set up the recurring investment, and then leave it alone. Studies consistently show that the investors who perform best are often the ones who forgot they had an account. Literally forgot. Because they weren't logging in to panic sell when the market dropped 20%. They just stayed in, and the market rewarded them for it. Number 3, follow the 70-30s rule for life. Live on 70, deploy 30 every month without exception. Not most months, not good months, every month. Because the gap between what you make and what you spend is the raw material of wealth. Income matters less than you think. Behavior matters more than almost anything. The Dunedin study followed 1,000 kids for 30 years and concluded that self-control, not IQ, not family money, not social class, was the single greatest predictor of financial success. And here's the good news about self-control. You can build a system that makes it almost irrelevant. Automate your 30%. Automate your contributions to the right accounts. Automate your investing. And then the system handles the discipline for you. You don't have to be strong every day. You just have to build something strong once. You can do this right now. Today. I've been in this space for a long time. I've worked with thousands of people. I've seen the full spectrum, people who make $40,000 a year and retire with dignity and freedom, and people who earn $400,000 a year who are completely broke, drowning in debt, terrified to look at their bank account. The difference was never the number on the paycheck, it was the system. It was the behavior, it was the accounts, it was the automation, it was the discipline, or the smart design around the lack of it. You are not too late. Wherever you are right now, if you're 25 and just starting out, or 45 and feeling behind, or 55 and wondering if it's even worth trying, you are not too late. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Set up the right accounts, automate your contributions, live on 70%, let the market compound. Don't quit. That's not complicated. But it is powerful. And if you follow it, if you actually genuinely, consistently follow it, you'll be one of those people that somebody else points to in 30 years and says, how did they do it? And the answer will be simple. They did it the boring way, the quiet way, the automatic way, the way that doesn't look impressive on Instagram, the way that doesn't have a dramatic story, the way that just works. Teachers knew this. The Dunedin kids with self-control knew this. Warren Buffett has been saying this for 60 years in the plainest language possible, and people still walk right past it looking for something more exciting. There's nothing more exciting than financial freedom. Nothing. And it is available to you. Now go build it.